Welcome back. All right, so we're going to talk about Bobby Smith today in the career videos playlist. I got a bit creative because I don't have enough Minnesota North Stars, the little magnets. So I went with a couple of big ones, Montreal in the middle, and changed the shading to tell you which team he was with. Bobby Smith was a number one pick in 1978, and he had some serious hype before coming into the league. He had outscored Gretzky in the OHL in 77-78, produced 192 points. So when he was drafted by the Minnesota North Stars, they knew the kid could score, and he does. 78-79 in 80 games, he scores 30 goals, 44 assists, 74 points, and he wins the Calder Trophy. So he's Rookie of the Year. Things are going well for a Minnesota North Stars team that's about to get much better. 79-80, 61 games played, 27 goals, 56 assists, 83 points. So excellent sophomore season. He does miss 19 games with injury, but still. Excellent sophomore season. And then he plays 15 games in the playoffs as Minnesota goes on a bit of a run. 1 goal, 13 assists, 14 points. He is a playoff producer. That is one thing with Bobby Smith as well. Throughout his career, no matter how his regular seasons go, he's pretty reliable in the playoffs. 80-81 plays 78 games, 29 goals, 64 assists, 93 points. So now he's over the 90-point mark. In 19 playoff games, 8 goals, 17 assists, 25 points as the Minnesota North Stars go to the Stanley Cup final. And my heart got broken there. But he did play in the All-Star game that year. And he was on the verge of some big things. 81-82, big year for him. 80 games, 43 goals, 71 assists, which was 7th overall in the NHL. 114 points, which is 8th overall in the NHL that year. And then in the playoffs, well, see, this is where Minnesota has a problem. The Minnesota North Stars in 81 with that run to the final and with all these young players, there was an expectation they were going to get better. They don't. In the playoffs, he plays 4 games, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. But he was in the All-Star game yet again. 82-83, the scoring drops off. In 77 games, 24 goals, 53 assists, 77 points. And again, in the playoffs, Minnesota doesn't get that far. 9 games, 6 goals, 4 assists, 10 points. So we get into the 83-84 season, and Minnesota's decided things need to change. So 10 games into the season, 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. Bobby Smith's traded. On October 28th, he is traded for a 1984 third-round pick, as well as Mark Napier and Keith Acton. So the Montreal Canadiens really wanted Bobby Smith. Napier had been an 85-point player prior to that. Acton was a pretty good two-way forward as well, really good defensively. So they gave up a couple of good forwards and a draft pick in exchange for Bobby Smith, who played pretty well for Montreal after the trade. In 70 games, 26 goals, 37 assists, 63 points. In 15 playoff games, 2 goals, 7 assists, 9 points. So his points per game has dropped, but he's in Montreal where the expectations are going to be a little different. And his ice time and who he's playing with and all that's going to change. 84-85, 65 games played, 16 goals, 40 assists, 56 points. So more subdued totals during the regular season, but in the playoffs, 12 games, 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points. So in the playoffs, he raises his game once again. 85-86, pretty big year for Montreal that year. 79 games, 31 goals, 55 assists, 86 points. So he's back to being a 30-goal scorer. In the playoffs, he had 7 goals, 8 assists for 15 points in 20 games. And Montreal wins the Stanley Cup that year. So Bobby Smith plays a pretty decent role for that 86 Stanley Cup. So now he's got a cup ring to go with his Calder Trophy, a couple All-Star games. And yet there's going to be a lot of people in the comment section saying, I don't know who this guy is. 86-87, that's part of the reason I do these videos though, right? Yep. 86-87 in 80 games, 28 goals, 47 assists, 75 points. Very reliable scoring from Bobby Smith at this point. Then in the playoffs, he adds 9 goals, 9 assists for 18 points in 17 games. So above a point per game there as Montreal went all the way to the conference final. Couldn't quite get to the Stanley Cup final, but some bumps and bruises between themselves and Philadelphia along the way there. 87-88 in 78 games played, 27 goals, 66 assists, which is 8th overall in the NHL that year, and 93 points altogether. So 93 points is pretty darn good. The best season he had had since the 114-point season. In the playoffs, 11 games, 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. 88-89, he has a season of above a point per game again. 80 games, 32 goals, 51 assists, 83 points. They go all the way to the Stanley Cup Final where they lose against Calgary, the same team that they had defeated in the 1986 Stanley Cup Final. In 21 playoff games, 11 goals, 8 assists, 19 points. And he played in the All-Star game again that year. So his points run here in Minnesota is what he was known more for. And in Montreal, it was more of a... I mean, it's more of a support role, comparatively speaking, with the role he had in Minnesota. 89-90, well, this is where some point problems show up. In 53 games, 12 goals, 14 assists, 26 points. So he doesn't play the full season. In the playoffs, 11 games, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. And then they trade him. They trade him back to the Minnesota North Stars. On August 7th, he's traded for a 1992 fourth-round draft pick. So back in Minnesota now, 90-91, 73 games, 15 goals, 31 assists, 46 points. He was actually in the All-Star game that year as well. The interesting thing is, Minnesota goes all the way to the Stanley Cup Final. That was a Minnesota team that had no business being in the Stanley Cup Final. The 81 team was a pretty good team who went on a run. The 91 team, that was on paper not a great team, and their record during the regular season was just... Anybody who wants to complain about who makes the playoffs and doesn't now, go look at the record for the 90-91 Minnesota North Stars have become the Dallas Stars. Go look at the Minnesota North Stars record in 90-91. That was not a great year. But in the playoffs, 23 games, 8 goals, 8 assists, 16 points. So when they need the scoring in the playoffs, Bobby Smith is there. And it's kind of his MO. 91-92, the scoring again has dropped off. 68 games, 9 goals. So he doesn't reach double digits for the first time in his career. 37 assists, 46 points. In the playoffs, 7 games, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. And I remember that year he hit the 1,000-point mark. And I remember making sure I had his rookie card that year. And when I pointed out it was his rookie card and, they were selling it for like $4 or $5. And I said, well, he has got 1,000 points. The other person that was in the card shop said, yeah, but how many games did it take? So that's how blasé we were about reaching 1,000 points in the early 90s. It was seen as, but what else has he done? 92, 93, and 45 games, 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points. So the drop-off really becomes dramatic, and he ends up retiring shortly thereafter. 1,077 games played in his NHL career, 357 goals, 679 assists, which is 55th all-time. 1,036 points, which is 77th all-time. In the playoffs, 184 games played, 64 goals, 96 assists, 160 points. And he went to 4 Stanley Cup Finals in his career. He won 1 of them, he lost 3. But yeah, that's a nice long run. 184 games, not too bad. He would also after his retirement go on to be named the general manager of the Arizona, then Phoenix Coyotes in 1996. He was GM until 2001. They did not win a Stanley Cup during that period. So I'm going to put him in the THG Hall of Fame because it's Bobby Smith, and I think that's a good spot for him. I don't know how many centers I've got in my Hall of Fame either, because at some point I'm going to want to put together a team and see what it looks like. But yeah, Bobby Smith was one of those guys who could definitely increase his level of play as the games became more important. And he was a leader. He was a leader on and off the ice. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.